This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monte Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and My Mortgage Team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Do you have a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Well, welcome back.
Welcome back, Carey Ann. I'm so excited about this episode because this topic is one of the near and dear to my heart.
It is. It is.
We got an amazing lady here, amazing guest.
Miss Toni White.
There you go.
Toni White, C2C.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Well, last week we talked all about leveraging and the importance of maximizing your time. And we talked a lot about, employing a contract to close person in our businesses to make it or free up our ability to help many more families. So really excited to talk all things contract to close today with you. But before we get started, I wanted to give a big shout out to our amazing sponsor, Music City Removal. They are the #1 junk removal service in Nashville, from residential, commercial, and construction. They're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute.
It ain't cute, and it ain't
Miss
cute.
Toni,
it ain't cute not to have contract close.
It is. You're right. It is. It is. For all our listeners out there, and majority of them are real estate agents. Hopefully, you have a contract to close person on your side. But if you don't, Toni's going to be sharing all about the importance and why we should. So, welcome, Toni.
So, Toni, before we get into why we've asked you to come on the show today, we have a conviction that people have to believe the messenger before the message ever matters. Can you tell us about your history that helped you to become the person you are today, that provides the qualification that you have, that I should turn over a transaction to you to work for me when I worked so hard to get to that point? What qualifies you?
Well, thank you for asking that question. And I will tell you that one of the things that we're very mindful of the fact is when you turn over that transaction, we understand that's your baby. Mm-hmm. That's your income. That's all things with that transaction we take very seriously. But my background is I've been in this industry for 20 years, 10 years as a loan officer, and then now going into my 9th, close to 10th year in doing contract to close and having my company. So
you had a good foundation from the mortgage standpoint to carry over into the contract to close standpoint.
Exactly. So it's just the other side of it, but it's all the same. The contracts are the same, the industry's the same. And so having that has helped me tremendously when there are situations that come up with regards to lenders and what's happening with a file. It helps the agent. They appreciate my background as a loan officer because I can understand what's going on with the file. I can also talk with the loan officer, let them know, hey, I understand what's happening here and that sort of thing. So that has been a great value to be able to bring that to my business, is to have that background.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 9 years, 9 or 10 years.
9 or 10 years.
That's success.
That's
right
enough
there.
time to know better.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's enough time with working for real estate professionals to know better. And here you are in the midst of it and wanting to grow your business, or actually growing your business. We're excited about that. You added a new person recently.
Yes, we're very excited about our growth, and that obviously attributes a lot to Realty One and to you guys. So thank you so much for this opportunity. We've been working together for almost 5 years with Monte and Connie, so excited about that. And I've known you since even before then.
I know.
If you remember.
Everybody's aging me lately on this
podcast. But not too much longer.
I love it.
Anyway,
I love it.
Yes, but part of, I asked myself, why am I still doing this? What am I doing? I love helping people. We love that piece of it. We love being a support. We love taking the pressure off the real estate agents so that they can go out and do what they do best. Mm-hmm. And that's, working with their next clients, lead generation, all those things, and growing their business. We are helping them grow their business.
So important. The controllers, there's many of us, so
Yes,
I'm one. It's very hard to let go. But what I realized is if I stay in my lane and I learn to let go, I've been able to do so much more business, help so many more families. And so for our listeners out there, know that you're not alone if you are one as well that is a controller, and it's hard to want to let the reins go a little bit to have somebody else guide you. But what I will say is they end up, as much as you're the nicest lady, but you can be the bad guy, right? Meaning you can knock on the door to the lender to make sure that they're following suit with what we're supposed to do. There's a lot of requirements within the contract. Many lenders don't even know, that you need certain things.
Many agents don't even know.
Right. Many agents don't even know. So
that's how they get in trouble.
We'll do that at a different class.
Okay.
But, there's certain that we have some agents that I love because they're on it. They know, and they may have that one transaction, a month that they're working on, and they don't have a transaction coordinator, but they know their ins and outs of that contract. But if you are somebody that is really looking to grow your business as a real estate agent, like the last week we spoke about, employing somebody so talented to be able to take on and keep the engine going. And keeping it motivated, to get you to the finish line, because you think you did something, right? You put it on the calendar to be reminded, but then life happened and 5 more calls occurred and oh my goodness, I was supposed to do. And that's kind of where you come into play. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. We are the hawk eyes and ears over the transaction for the real estate agent. And you talked about staying in your lane. So the cool thing about that is as we all know, what you focus on prospers. So for us, we get to focus on all those details with the contract to close piece of it, and that takes all that pressure off. We have sophisticated systems in place so that we can watch all those deadlines, and we can let you know and alert you if it need be. Also, we take about 19 to 23 hours per transaction off an agent's plate.
Wow.
So
let's pause there for a second, Toni, because I think it's really important for our listeners to do the math here. What's your time worth? Okay, what is your time worth? I mean, if your time is only worth $10 an hour and you're avoiding 15 to 20 hours of distraction, and maybe it's not worth it if your time is only. My point is, if your time is only worth $10 or $12 an hour, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe you should just continue to do your contract to close. But if you're of a mindset that sometime you'd like to increase your dollar per hour value, then how do you do that? You delegate the things that you don't have to do. Mm-hmm. And for us control freaks, I was talking, we had an onboarding class here today, and we were talking about the importance of being willing to let something go that you don't have to be the author of. And you have to be, I learned something from John Maxwell years ago, that he said that if somebody else can do something that you can do at least 80% as well, be okay about turning that person over. Now, I'm not saying you only do 80%, but I'm just saying, here's the reality, guys. Nobody can do it better than I can, okay? And nobody can do it better than you can. But we can't continue to grow. We can't continue to really expand our business if we insist on hanging on to the things that we don't absolutely have to do. And my point is, we have to be okay about that effort not being as great as my effort would be to that client. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have to be okay with that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying compromise, because I know you do a great job. But here's the reason why this is what the typical real estate agent's income looks like, is because you ever hit a consistent momentum. And you can't do that because here's what happens. You grab it, you put a deal together, you coddle that deal, you hold that deal, you nurture, you love on that deal, you take good care of it, and then you get it to the finish line, and oops, I'm unemployed. So you go out and try to find another one, and you carry it. Maybe you can maybe if you're really skilled, you can do 2 or 3 of those at one time. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Probably not. Maybe 2. Because there's so many aspects to it, You'll never, though, ever get to your full, I don't care who you are, you'll never get to your full potential if you insist on being and there's nothing wrong with being a one-person show. There's not. But those of us who really want to achieve, maybe a higher level and have a life, you can't do that without somebody like you.
Right. And one of the first things that I ask when I'm doing, my own onboarding with an agent, I'm going to ask them about their deal, about their situation, and what is it that you want out of it. What's going on with your real estate business? Do you want to grow? I don't use the word hobby, but I'm just saying, is it a part-time thing, or is it something you only want to do a certain number of transactions a month? That helps me understand with meeting their questions and meeting some of those pain points, or meeting those, pushing some of the pushbacks that I get with those agents who are scared of letting go. Probably my best testimony is from an agent who did the Peak and Valley thing. He kept saying, I keep doing the Peak and Valley. He'd get 4, then you go down in the valley to work the transactions. Another 4, go down the valley. He said, I'm exhausted over this. Brought us on board, and he grew his business 300% in 90 days.
See, I'm not surprised.
He's never looked back.
I'm
Why?
not surprised.
Because he gave it to us. He understood. And that's 4 deals at 20 hours a deal. You know, how many clients can you build relationship?
Right.
Because this is a relationship building business.
For him, that was like giving him 80 hours that he didn't, to prospect and to start new business, create new business.
Right. And so, he's an extremely successful agent now, but it started there. So he stayed in that position as long as he was handling. Once he brought us on board, he never looked back. His business never, he's amazingly successful. So it's helping agents understand that. Also, that we are an extension of their team. They don't want their agents don't want their clients to feel passed off. Well, we do. We are very careful in the beginning, in that first intro call, and in meeting, that trying to be an extension of to that client, trying to build a relationship. And one of the things that I love to do is look at the MLS and become familiar with the home they're purchasing, if it's a purchase, and choose something that I really like about the home. And then that gives me a point of when I'm having my intro call with them. I really love those hardwood floors. I love that island, the kitchen island, or I love the yard outside. See, what that does is it emotionally attaches them to me.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. And they're like, they care about me. So what happens is, then it helps that transition from the agent.
Right. Right.
It brings
the baton from one to the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My goal is to take all that off. I obviously want the agents to communicate with their clients, but my goal is to help you be able to go out and get us the next deal, go out and work with the next transaction. At the same time, customer service is very important to us. So we understand that piece of it and how important that transaction is to that agent. And so we are nurturing those clients throughout the process. And I love that part of it.
Yeah. And so this business, as much as, you said the word transaction, a couple times. And so I'm going to have you take that out of the equation, because this business, we don't want it to be transactional, right? We want it to be relationship driven and stuff. But that allows me that ability to help one more family, right? To be able to have that freedom to get out there and assist, another family. What I love, though, is the agent needs to understand that they have to have hard conversations with lenders, right? And sometimes you can't get them on the phone. Sometimes you don't have an opportunity to wait for that call to come back. That's where you come into play, right? Exactly. You are able to see. You can have that foreshadow of what's about to occur because of responses that you're getting from a lender, and that's so important. Thinking back, the cost to do a transaction or a contract to close is around $399. So $400, let's say. So $400 to somebody maybe starting out new is a lot of money. And so it's hard because $100 used to be a lot of money, right? But when we start to simplify that and start to, like you said, divide out what your per hour, what you want your per hour to be,
that's a personal call. We have to make that decision.
Right, exactly. And that can be at every different level.
Mine's $357 an hour.
Oh, look at you.
I've never made that much. I'm just saying that's what my goal is. Okay. I believe in goal setting.
Push goals. That's great. So, that's the hardest thing is coaching folks, whether they're in mortgage or in real estate, and allowing them to see that it's not about that $400. It's about how you were able to help 3 more families, and then your bank account just exploded with so much more, and you were able to give back to your own family. I
totally agree. And I think one thing that agents forget about is how much credibility do you have now? Suddenly you have an assistant. I mean,
you have a team.
You have a team.
Power of numbers. I love that.
And one of the things I love about what Toni does for us is at the end of the transaction, she says, "Hey, this has been great. Sally Sue we've learned, and thank you for being part of the team with Sally Sue and trusting her in this transaction. One thing we have found is great people attract great people, and she wanted me to make sure that she asked if you have anybody else that you think would be a needing of a real estate professional. It's coming from a third party,
I love that.
rather than Sally Sue asking for that referral. So and Toni's gotten business for me just by doing that.
Amazing. So Toni, share for those that don't know or have not experienced contract to close, because there's a lot of great people that are jumping into this industry now, which is exciting because Nashville real estate is still booming. So what do you actually order or do, hold the hand of within the contract to close?
Okay, so we are what our name says, contract to the closing table, and we begin at point of executed contract.
Okay.
And so that and any disclosures that are captured at point of sale, and we take over at that point. We have about a 60-step system at this point that takes you to the closing table. So we are...
Our podcast is only 20 minutes, so we don't have time for all 60.
No,
so
I'm not going down the 60.
Give me the top 5.
Yeah. Let's see, we just say, we send the contract to everybody. We order home termite and radon inspections.
Okay.
We are watching over the file with the lenders every week. We are scheduling the closing. We're doing all that. So that's the top things that we do. Main thing is we're watching over every step of the transaction to successfully get it to the closing table.
So are you the one communicating back to the client themselves and keeping them abreast of everything?
Exactly. Right.
That's so important too, because we forget, that we're running so fast and people want that update. Whether there's no news, they still want an update, and that's important.
Well, and I learned that as a loan officer with my clients. If I would just call them and say, I don't have an update for you, but I didn't want any more time to go by without your hearing from me. That was an update to them. So I use, obviously utilize that now. But for us, again, we're taking about 60 steps and 20 hours off the plate of each agent, which will allow you to grow your business exponentially.
20 hours for $400, basically. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, what's your time worth?
Right.
And one of the things I love about this contract to close, we're here to really promote the concept of leveraging yourself. Okay, first of all, leverage yourself. Well, what's the most economic way to do it? Certainly starting out, it's to contract to close. I've been doing this 36 years. I still use contract to close because I still feel that that's the most economical way of taking care of that aspect of the business. And even though one time we had 5 in-house contract to close folks, I would rather delegate that to
And
her.
that's because you get to pay on demand. You get to, if there is a transaction.
That's part of it. I don't have to hire and fire. I don't have to pay, unemployment insurance, all those different things, for that employee, basically, that extension of an employee. But one of the things I love about this contract to close, Toni, is she's got a phone app. Carey, I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, but it keeps me connected to all the transactions, okay?
I love that.
It's really empowering. I can because how many times as an agent have we been heading to the walkthrough, or we haven't been connected to that deal for maybe a little while, and we forgot the address because it was new construction, or whatever, and all I got to do is pull up my app, hit that name of that client, and all the details are here. The contact information of the mortgage company, the inspection dates, all those things this is empowering.
The home access, the information. So if you got 10 deals going on, you don't have to remember what was the access to that home. You just pull it up.
Right. Oh, that's wonderful.
And you can send messages back to us through the phone app as well. So if you're out in the field and you're thinking, wait, on this did the appraisal come in? It gives you appraisal updates, but through the phone app. But you can also ask us a question. It comes to us real time, and we will answer it for you.
When I show my clients or prospective clients, let's say I'm at a listing, one of the things I will do is pull up this app and say, I want to show you how connected I am to the transaction. I have all the updated details with me at every moment of every day because it's right here on my phone. And I show them right here how empowering that is. That's not something they're used to seeing. It's really not.
That's quite amazing.
And at this point, it's unique to us. There's no other company out there at the moment that offers that, so I'm excited about that.
That is, that's we have a mobile app. I think that's super important. I love that you're headed with the times. That's key for sure. But to grow your business, and this is what our podcast is all about, is educating and motivating to get you to the next level. Definitely leveraging your time and letting go. I think there's a song out there.
I'm sure there is.
My daughter would be singing it if she was with us today. But it was so hard for me. It took me over a year to let go. So for some of us out there, it would be hard. But as soon as as I finally was okay with certain whoopses, Oh, look, there he's got it. I love it. But amazing things can happen. More relationships can be created,
Yes,
I've been talking to a real estate agent. She's less than 2 years. Coming up August, she'll be 2 years. And she's going to hit over 80 transactions. Amazing. She can't do that as a single agent without an amazing contract, to close person. And she has one, and that's great. And she will tell you, a lot of her success is because of having such a complement, somebody that is able to assist her and just be there, by her side. Because you're right, there's only so much time in a day. And, when clients want to be running at certain times to show a house or whatever,
that's right.
Having you and having somebody be able to be the communicator and getting the job done is so important.
If I could talk to the newer agents just for a minute, there's a misnomer out there, I think, from some senior agents. No offense to anyone, and everybody's got their conviction. I've got mine, so I'm going to share it because that's my podcast, But anyway, on that topic, so I've heard senior agents tell newer agents, people to the business, well, contract to close is cool, but you really need to learn how to do all this yourself. So why don't you go ahead and do the first 3 or 4 yourself? That's almost like not a death sentence, but again, it's a guarantee that agent will never get off the ground that first 4 transactions because they're going to be so wadded up with the details. It's like I compare it to, I want to drive a car, but first I want to know how it works. So I'm going to become a mechanic first. I'm going to learn how to change the oil and change the plugs. We'd never do that. Or I want to go to California, but first I'm going to ride a bike there to make sure I see everything before I fly there. That's how. No offense to anybody again, but I'm a little passionate about this topic because I've seen so many people shoot themselves in the foot when it came to that critical aspect called momentum. You will never ever achieve momentum if you're again hanging on to the details of things that you could delegate, and there's no reason that anybody and everybody can't afford $400 when you're making thousands of dollars. Okay, I don't care what kind of split you're on.
My grandfather used to always say, the old saying is, don't step over dollars to keep pennies.
Right, and that's what's happening.
That's just simply
that's
what
what's
it is.
happening. And don't get me wrong. I want to know, but there's a more gradual way of knowing all the details, and that is watching somebody do the details and staying in connection with those. In that process, you don't have to be the lead person through those details. You can hand that off to an expert. And one of the things I love about your particular skill set, Toni, is that the contract probably better than I do. I'm just being real. The contract really, really well.
Oh, she does.
Yes.
No, she really, really does.
I know. She does.
Yes, I just had to have a very detailed terminology section with an agent, and yesterday. So yes,
that alone
was right.
is like insurance. That alone makes it well worthwhile, the investment, let alone the trip to the finish line. Looking like a hero.
Well, I had an agent who had been an agent for, 20 years. He said to me, okay, well, after I've read it the 35th time, I have found out you're correct. And I said, thank you.
But why not do what you love to do?
Right.
Like, I figured out when I found my groove is communicating and loving on people and talking to clients. And if I stay there now, my staff no longer wants me to actually input an application because that's not my whichever side of the brain that's on, I don't have it, right? But keep me in the lane that I'm in where I can talk to clients and I can talk to real estate agents and build the rapport and have somebody else help me complete it, fully. It allows us to help so many more families here, here locally. How do you close a loan in 8 days, right?
Yeah.
Not because I did it all.
No, you got to have a team.
There's a conveyor belt. It goes back to those old shows with everybody on the conveyor belt, putting their little pieces together. That's what it takes, a village to close a transaction. I'm a big believer in it, and you're a big part of that. So thank you for being so
Toni,
successful.
Let's make sure people can get a hold of you. Again, this show is not just about promoting Toni White at Contract to Close. It's to get your mindset open to delegating the things that you do not have to do. Please hear our hearts on the topic. But there happens to be a really awesome lady here with us today to talk about the topic. And Toni, how do they get a hold of you should they want? And I'd say that with mixed emotions for both of you because sometimes when you have a hidden gem or a really super valuable thing, you don't want the whole world to know about it. I struggled with that with Carey Ann for a while, but then I realized, she's growing as her customer base is growing, and you'd never know she is able to do what she does. And I know you do the same thing. I would never know that you take care of the number of transactions you do because you are doing it with such professionalism and so forth. So how do they get a hold of you?
Well, they can just go to the website, contract2closepro.com, or my number, 615-293-1452.
What's the
Love
number
to hear
again?
from you, 615-293-1452.
I would love if you are using a contract to close person, comment below here and share us, what you love about that, part of the business and how you've been able to grow your business by adding and complementing by assisting them with the contract to close person. We'd love to get your feedback too about this.
Really would. Really
Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Toni, for joining us. Always a pleasure to get to see you. Thank you for all of our listeners every week. We will be back next week. TalkOfMusicCity.com.